The twin suns of Kepler 442b cast long shadows across the ruined cityscape as Sergeant Marcus Chen crouched behind a collapsed wall. His breathing was steady despite the adrenaline coursing through his veins. Beside him, 3 other soldiers from different worlds waited for orders. Lieutenant Zekthar, a towering reptilian from Draken Prime, checked his weapon. The insectoid commander Velkoth clicked his mandibles impatiently. "Move forward," Velkotha's voice buzzed through their communicators. "Sweep the sector. Eliminate any resistance." Marcus nodded and signaled his team to advance. They moved through the debris carefully, checking corners and doorways. The enemy Krixathi forces had retreated 2 days ago, leaving behind only ruins and silence. Or so they thought. A low groan echoed from beneath a collapsed bunker ahead. Marcus raised his fist, stopping the squad. He approached slowly, his rifle raised. Through a gap in the concrete he saw movement. His helmet scanner detected multiple life signs. "Commander, we have contacts," Marcus reported. "Status?" Velkoth demanded. Marcus peered closer. Inside the collapsed structure he counted 12 Krixathi soldiers. Their gray-blue skin was covered in dust and blood. One was pinned under a steel beam. Another clutched a badly wounded leg. They had no weapons within reach. They were not a threat. They were dying. "They are wounded, sir." "Trap. No visible weapons." "Understood. Continue the sweep. Leave them." Marcus froze. "Sir, they need medical attention. They will not survive without help." "That is not our concern, Sergeant. We have a schedule. Move forward." Marcus looked at the wounded soldiers again. One of them, barely more than a youth, stared back at him with 4 wide eyes filled with pain and fear. The young Krixathi was whispering something. Sounded like a name. Maybe calling for his mother. "Sir, the Geneva Conventions require—" "Your Earth conventions mean nothing here, human," Velkoth interrupted sharply. "This is war. They are the enemy. We move in 5 minutes." Marcus felt his jaw tighten. Back on Earth, every soldier learned the rules. Enemy wounded were protected. They received medical care. It was not about weakness. It was about staying human even in hell. His grandfather had been a medic in old Earth wars. He had told young Marcus stories about saving lives on both sides. "We fight soldiers, not wounded men," his grandfather had said. "The moment we forget that, we become monsters." Lieutenant Sarah Park, his human squad mate, moved beside him. She saw the trapped Krixathi too. Her eyes met his behind her helmet visor. She gave him a slight nod. "Commander, I am providing medical assistance," Marcus said firmly. "This will delay us approximately 2 hours." "Negative. That is a direct order, Sergeant Chen." Marcus was already moving. He slung his rifle over his shoulder and pulled out his medical kit. Sarah followed, taking position to guard him. The other aliens in the squad stood frozen, confused by this bizarre human behavior. "Chen, you are disobeying a direct order." Velkotha's voice rose to a screech. Marcus ignored him. He squeezed through the gap in the bunker. The young Krixathi soldier flinched, expecting death. Instead, Marcus opened his medical kit and pulled out synthetic skin patches and coagulation foam. "Easy," Marcus said softly, though he knew the soldier probably could not understand his words. "I am here to help." For the next hour Marcus and Sarah worked. They stabilized bleeding. They administered painkillers. They freed the soldier trapped under the beam. The Krixathi watched in stunned silence as these human enemies saved their lives. None of them had ever experienced anything like this in war. When coalition reinforcements arrived, Commander Velkoth was waiting. 4 armed guards surrounded Marcus immediately. "Sergeant Marcus Chen, you are under arrest for insubordination, misuse of military resources, and unauthorized contact with enemy combatants. Remove his weapon." As they placed restraints on his wrists, Marcus looked back at the 12 Krixathi soldiers. They were sitting up now, bandaged and stable. The young one touched his chest in what might have been a gesture of gratitude. Marcus smiled. Whatever came next, he had done the right thing. The courtroom floated in orbit above Centralis Prime, a massive station built specifically for coalition military justice. Marcus Chen stood in the center of a circular chamber, surrounded by 7 alien judges from 7 different worlds. Above him, holographic displays showed his face to billions watching across the galaxy. He wore his uniform, but they had stripped away his rank insignia and medals. Admiral Corvan, a towering Zenthari with silver scales and cold amber eyes, paced around Marcus like a predator circling prey. His voice boomed through the chamber. Sergeant Chin knowingly disobeyed direct orders from his superior officer during active military operations. He wasted critical medical supplies on enemy combatants. He delayed his unit for 2 hours, compromising their mission. These facts are not disputed. Marcus stood straight, eyes forward. His military lawyer, a nervous Pelthian with blue skin, looked worried. In the gallery behind him, Ambassador Elena Vasquez from Earth sat with clenched fists. She had tried to stop this trial through diplomatic channels. She had failed. One of the judges, a crystalline being that communicated through light pulses, spoke through a translator. The human chose to help enemies. This behavior is difficult to understand. Defense, please explain. Marcus's lawyer stood. Honorable judges, Sergeant Chen was following the military code of his homeworld. Earth has ancient laws about war. They require soldiers to help wounded enemies. They call them the Geneva Conventions. He believed he was doing his duty. Admiral Corvan laughed, a harsh sound. His duty? His duty was to obey his commander. This human-placed enemy lives above his mission. Above his own squad's safety. This is not duty. This is betrayal. The prosecution displayed holographic footage of Marcus treating the wounded Krixathi. The admiral pointed dramatically. Watch him waste precious medical foam on a soldier who shot at us days before. Watch him smile at the enemy. This is not normal behavior. This is dangerous thinking. Another judge, a gas being contained in a specialized suit, spoke. In 400 years of coalition history, no soldier has ever done this. Why would any warrior help those trying to kill him? Marcus finally spoke, though his lawyer grabbed his arm to stop him. Because they were not trying to kill me anymore, sir. They were wounded. They were helpless. My grandfather taught me that how we treat the helpless shows who we really are. The chamber fell silent. Several judges tilted their heads in confusion. The concept seemed alien to them. Admiral Corvan seized the moment. You see? The human admits it. He chose personal belief over military discipline. Honorable judges, if we allow this, what stops any soldier from deciding which orders to follow? War requires obedience. His actions could have gotten his entire squad killed. But they did not. A new voice called from the gallery. Everyone turned. One of the saved Krixathi soldiers stood, bandages still visible on his neck. He had been allowed to testify. This human saved my life when he could have left me to die. He showed me mercy I have never seen in 20 years of war. Corvan whirled on him. The Krixathi Empire is our enemy. Their testimony means nothing here. The trial continued for 3 more days. Expert after expert testified that humans had strange ideas about war. Species after species explained that protecting enemy wounded was illogical, wasteful, and weak. Marcus's lawyer tried to argue that different cultures had different values, but the judges looked unconvinced. On the final day, the 7 judges deliberated for only 2 hours. The head judge, an ancient being from the first coalition species, read the verdict. We find Sergeant Marcus Chin guilty on all charges. Sentence: 25 years imprisonment and dishonorable discharge from military service. The courtroom erupted. Ambassador Vasquez stood, shouting protests. The Krixathi soldier who testified looked shocked. Even some coalition soldiers in attendance seemed uncomfortable. Marcus stood quietly as guards approached him. Before they led him away, he turned to the cameras broadcasting to the galaxy. His voice was calm but carried clearly. If mercy is a crime in your coalition, then maybe Earth joined the wrong side. The guards pulled him through the door. Behind him, Ambassador Vasquez was already on her communicator, calling Earth. Her message was simple: they convicted him. We need to respond. Now. The news reached Earth 48 hours after the verdict. Marcus Chen's face appeared on every screen across the planet. The video of his final statement played again and again. If mercy is a crime in your coalition, then maybe Earth joined the wrong side. In Geneva, inside the Global Defense Council chamber, 50 representatives from every nation sat in stunned silence. General Patricia Okonkwo, Supreme Commander of Earth's military forces, stood before a massive holographic display showing coalition space. They convicted him for saving lives, she said quietly. They gave him 25 years for showing mercy. Ambassador Vasquez appeared via hologram from Centralis Prime. Her face was tired but angry. I have reviewed the coalition military code thoroughly. There are no protections for prisoners of war. No rules about wounded soldiers. No conventions about civilians. Nothing. They fight like animals. A representative from Japan spoke up. We have been allies with the coalition for 12 years. Surely we can negotiate. I tried, Vasquez interrupted. They refused. They said Chin violated their laws and Earth customs do not matter in coalition space. They told me if we do not like it, we can leave. General Okonkwo smiled, but it was not a pleasant smile. Then we leave. The room exploded with voices. People shouted questions and objections. The general raised her hand for silence. Ladies and gentlemen, we joined the coalition because we thought they represented civilization. We thought they fought for justice. But a civilization that punishes mercy is not civilized. It is barbaric. She tapped her display and numbers appeared. We have 47 battle groups serving in coalition space. They represent 40% of coalition frontline strength. I recommend immediate withdrawal of all Terran forces. The French representative stood. And if the coalition retaliates? They have thousands of ships. General Okonkwo's smile widened. Let me show you something. The display changed. It showed technical specifications, weapon systems, and ship designs. The representatives leaned forward, reading. Eyes widened. Mouths opened in shock. For 12 years we have been holding back, Okonkwo explained. We did not want to intimidate our allies. We deliberately used older technology in joint operations. But our actual military capability is approximately 50 years ahead of what we have shown them. She pulled up more data. Quantum displacement shields that make our ships nearly invisible. Relativistic kinetic weapons that can strike from light hours away. AI tactical networks that can coordinate fleet movements faster than any organic mind. We have been fighting with one hand tied behind our backs. The British representative whistled low. They have no idea, do they? None, Okonkwo confirmed. They think we need them. They are about to learn the truth. Within 24 hours, Earth issued an ultimatum through official channels. Release Marcus Chin immediately. Adopt humanitarian warfare protocols based on Earth's Geneva Conventions within 30 days. Or all human forces would withdraw from the coalition. The Coalition Council met to discuss the ultimatum. They laughed. The insectoid chancellor actually clicked his mandibles in amusement. The humans are bluffing. They need our protection from the Krixathi Empire. They need our technology. They need us. The coalition sent back a simple message, no. What happened next shocked the galaxy. Within 72 hours, every single human ship, soldier, and officer withdrew from coalition space. 47 battle groups. 3 million personnel. Hundreds of installations. Gone. The coalition's military strength dropped by 40% overnight. Their front lines began collapsing. The Krixathi Empire, sensing weakness, pushed forward aggressively. But something else happened that surprised everyone. A coded message arrived at Earth's military headquarters. It came from the Krixathi Empire. The message was simple. The human soldier Marcus Chen showed honor to our warriors. He gave them mercy when none was required. The Krixathi people do not forget such actions. We propose a ceasefire with Earth. We have no quarrel with a species that understands honor. In Geneva, General Okonkwo read the message and smiled. Gentlemen, ladies, it appears we are about to make peace with our supposed enemy. How ironic. Within days, Earth and the Krixathi Empire began peace negotiations. The two species that had been fighting for years sat down at a table. They talked. They found common ground. They discovered that both cultures valued honor, both understood the rules of war, and both respected warriors who showed mercy. The treaty was signed 3 weeks later. The coalition watched in disbelief as their enemy and their former allies shook hands. They had expected Earth to come crawling back. Instead, Earth had changed the entire balance of power in the galaxy. And they were about to learn that humans could do more than make peace. The Coalition Council refused to believe Earth was serious. Chancellor Vextar sent a message demanding humanity return to their duty. Earth's response was simple silence. The borders around human space closed. Every communication channel went dark. It was as if humanity had simply vanished. Commander Velkoth, the same officer who had arrested Marcus Chin, now led coalition forces on the collapsing front lines. Without human reinforcements, his battalions were stretched thin. The Krixathi Empire was not attacking Earth anymore, which meant they could focus all their forces against the coalition. Velkoth was losing ground every day. This is the humans' fault, he hissed to his officers. They abandoned us over one soldier. One foolish act of weakness. But the Coalition Council had a plan. They would teach Earth a lesson. They assembled their largest fleet, 300 warships, and sent them to the edge of the Sol system. It was meant to be a show of force, a demonstration. They would not attack, just intimidate. Surely the sight of such power would make the humans negotiate. Admiral Corvan commanded the fleet personally. He broadcast on all frequencies as they approached Earth's space. Humanity, you have made a grave mistake. Return to the coalition or face the consequences. You have 1 hour to respond. The hour passed. No response came. Corvan ordered the fleet to move closer, crossing into the outer Sol system. They would not fire first, but they would make the humans nervous. They would show them who had the real power. That was when everything went wrong. Alarms shrieked across every coalition ship simultaneously. Targeting systems locked onto them. Not from one direction but from everywhere. Hundreds of signatures appeared on their sensors, ships that had not been there seconds before. What is happening? Corvan demanded. His tactical officer stared at his screen in disbelief. Sir, we are being painted by over 400 targeting systems. They appeared out of nowhere. Our sensors show nothing, but the targeting locks are real. A calm human voice came over the communication channel. Coalition fleet, this is Earth Defense Command. You have entered our space without permission. Power down your weapons and withdraw immediately. Corvan laughed nervously. You are bluffing, humans? Our sensors show empty space. You cannot hide an entire fleet. We are not hiding anything, Admiral. You simply cannot see us. This is your final warning. Power down and withdraw. Corvan made a decision he would regret for the rest of his life. All ships, prepare to fire a warning shot. Show these primitives. He never finished the sentence. In exactly 14 minutes, every single coalition ship in his fleet went dark. Not destroyed. Not damaged. Just offline. Every weapon system, every engine, every computer simultaneously shut down. 300 warships became 300 floating pieces of metal. The coalition crews sat in darkness, emergency lights flickering. Then the human voice returned. Your ships are intact. Your crews are unharmed. We have simply disabled your systems using electromagnetic pulse weapons you cannot detect or defend against. We could have destroyed you. We chose not to. You have 48 hours to drift out of our space using emergency thrusters. After that, we will tow you out ourselves. Earth Defense Command out. Admiral Corvan sat in his command chair, trembling. His entire fleet had been neutralized in minutes without a single shot fired. The humans had technology that made coalition forces look like children with toys. The footage of the incident spread across the galaxy within hours. Species after species watched as Earth casually shut down the coalition's mightiest fleet. The message was clear: humanity had been holding back. Drastically. In his cell on Centralis Prime, Marcus Chin heard about the incident from a sympathetic guard. He smiled sadly. He had not wanted this. He had only wanted to save some lives. But 3 days later, alarms rang through the prison facility. Explosions echoed in the distance. Guards ran in confusion. Marcus's cell door suddenly opened. A figure in black armor stood there, human military special forces. Sergeant Chin, we are going home. How? Earth does not abandon its soldiers, sir. Especially not ones who did the right thing. Let's move. They extracted Marcus along with 47 other human prisoners in under 20 minutes. Coalition forces never even saw them coming. By the time station security responded, the human ship was already gone, vanished like a ghost. Back on Earth, Marcus was welcomed as a hero, but the war was not over. It was just beginning. 6 months after the Battle of Sol's Gate, the galaxy looked very different. The coalition was crumbling. 23 species had left to form something new, something better. They called it the Concord of Sentient Species, and at its foundation were 3 unlikely allies: humanity, the Krixathi Empire, and species who had grown tired of the coalition's brutal ways. Marcus Chin stood on a stage on the Krixathi homeworld, feeling completely out of place. Thousands of Krixathi citizens filled the massive plaza, their gray-blue skin shimmering in their sun's light. Beside him stood Emperor Thakron himself, the leader of the species humanity had been fighting just months ago. This human, the Emperor's voice boomed through translators, showed my warriors mercy when he could have left them to die. He risked everything to save lives. Today we honor him with our highest award, given only 12 times in 3,000 years. The Star of Mercy. The Emperor placed a crystal medallion around Marcus's neck. The crowd erupted in a sound that was part roar, part clicking, the Krixathi version of applause. Marcus looked out at them, remembering the young soldier he had saved. That same soldier now stood in the front row, saluting. After the ceremony, Marcus was led to a quieter room. Waiting there were the 12 Krixathi he had pulled from that collapsed bunker. They stood when he entered. The young one whose name Marcus had learned was HFY, stepped forward. Sergeant Chin, HFY said in careful English, I have spent 6 months learning your language for this moment. I wanted to tell you in your own words, thank you. You showed me that enemies can still be people. My daughter was born last month. I named her Marka, as close to Marcus as our language allows. She will know your story. Marcus felt his throat tighten. He shook HFY's hand, feeling the difference in their biology but also the similarity in their gratitude. You would have done the same, Marcus said quietly. No, HFY replied honestly. Before you I would not have. But now I will. You changed how I see war. Back on Earth the changes were just as dramatic. The old coalition still existed, but it was a shadow of its former self. They had been forced to adopt reforms, to create rules protecting prisoners and wounded, or face complete irrelevance. Admiral Corvan, the prosecutor who had demanded Marcus's imprisonment, now faced trial himself for war crimes committed during the old wars. Commander Velkoth, who had ordered Marcus to leave the wounded to die, had been arrested by his own people. His trial was broadcast across the galaxy. Species that once followed him now condemned him. The irony was not lost on anyone. Marcus had retired from active combat duty, but the military did not let him rest. They made him an instructor at the new Concord Military Academy, a joint training facility where humans, Krixathi, and 21 other species learned together. On his first day teaching, Marcus stood before a classroom of young officers from a dozen different worlds. Some had scales, some had fur, some had skin like his own. They all wore the same uniform now, the gray and blue of the Concord. My name is Sergeant Marcus Chin, he began. I am here to teach you about something my species calls the rules of war. Some of you may think this sounds strange. How can war have rules? But let me tell you why it matters. He pulled up a hologram showing the Geneva Conventions, Earth's ancient laws about warfare. These rules exist because we believe that even in war we must stay civilized. We protect the wounded, even enemy wounded. We treat prisoners with dignity. We avoid harming civilians. Not because it helps us win but because it helps us stay human. Or Krixathi. Or whatever species you are. A young insectoid officer raised a claw. But Instructor Chin, does this not make us weak? Does mercy not invite defeat? Marcus smiled, the same smile he had given when they arrested him all those months ago. I thought the same thing once. Then I showed mercy to 12 enemy soldiers. That mercy ended a war, created a new alliance, and changed the galaxy. So tell me, cadet, does that sound weak to you? The classroom fell silent. The insectoid officer slowly lowered his claw, understanding dawning in his compound eyes. Marcus continued teaching. Outside in the plaza, a statue was being built. It showed a human soldier kneeling beside a wounded alien, offering help instead of harm. The inscription read, "The Chin Protocols, may mercy guide our wars so that one day we need no wars at all." 100 years later, every military academy in the known galaxy would teach those same protocols. The human who was court-martialed for mercy had changed civilization itself. And somewhere in a small house on Earth, an old soldier smiled, knowing he had done the right thing.